How's it going, my dreamers? This is Born to Dream, back with another Pokemon Go raid boss guide for you guys. And be sure to leave a like down below if you're enjoying the video. Subscribe for some more Pokemon Go raid boss content. And be sure to check out the playlist in the description down below if you'd like to see any previous episodes. Or previous videos of our Pokemon Go raid boss guide series. I do have raid boss guides for just about everything here on YouTube. There are a few raid bosses I missed out on, either because I didn't get to them or because I just wasn't interested enough to do raid boss guides on them. So like Porygon and Sharpedo, for example, would probably be those kinds of Pokemon I'm just not interested in doing a raid boss guide for. Just because they're so easy. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about our fluffy little tailed friend here, Flareon, who of course is a part of the evolutions. All 5 of them, in fact. There's 5. 5 of 8, I guess. There's going to be 3 other evolutions later on, but as of right now, there's just 5. So, talking about Flareon here, I would say among the current raid bosses, or at least like past raid bosses, so I'm just talking about the evolutions here, it's probably the second hardest of the other evolutions. We've had a Vaporeon raid boss, and we've had Jolteon as a raid boss as well. Not Espeon or Umbreon, and I'd love to see either of those become raid bosses, but that's probably not until like the very far future, because obviously Niantic would probably like for you to walk your Eevee to get either of those. So, but Flareon is a bit of a problem in terms of it being a good raid boss. It's one of the harder ones, and in fact, I would say between it and Donphan, I would say they're pretty similar. But Flareon, I guess Flareon could be harder depending on how you look at it. I think Donphan has some better coverage moves, although it's not great, but at least for Donphan, it doesn't just have all ground moves, like for Flareon, who has all fire moves. I mean, either way, they're both really difficult raid bosses, and you can only really take advantage of them in in clear weather, they're extremely difficult to take down, so I guess. But anyways, jumping into the stats here, we got 246 for its attack, we got 204 for its defense, 130 for its HP. We do not care about HP because every raid boss has a set amount of HP. So, you guys can see that Flareon is a very, very heavy hitter. And if you ever get hit by an Overheat from this thing, you probably will realize very quickly that it will decimate you if you are not careful. Now, Flareon is not frail by the slightest. It's actually, when you have it as a raid boss, it is actually pretty bulky. I mean, considering that they just jack up its HP, I mean, it is pretty bulky as a raid boss. So it's a very difficult Pokemon to take down. In fact, back when this first came out, you could not solo Flareon unless you had a team of Golems, maxed out Golems, and even if you had 6 perfect maxed out Golems, there was no guarantee that you would take out the Flareon in question. It just took a lot of luck back then. Now we have Weather, we have, Gyarados, and we have Kyogre and Groudon as well. So Flareon is very much easier than it was back then, but it's still a very difficult raid boss to take down. You need the right conditions and the right mons to take it down. Now, let's jump into the movesets here. So, like I said before, these are all fire-type movesets, and I think I said that I think in one of the videos in the past, I said Flareon had Heat Wave. That is a legacy move for Flareon, and I don't know when it became legacy, but I guess it is a legacy moveset for Flareon. But as you can see, it's like the weakest move here, so I mean, it's if you didn't get a Heat Wave Flareon, you didn't miss out on anything. But anyways, the movesets you're looking for are Fire Spin, Overheat, Fire Spin, Flamethrower, Fire Spin, Fire Blast, Ember, Overheat, Ember, Fire Blast, Ember, Flamethrower. It's very, very, very straightforward. Fire Spin and Overheat are going to be the best. Is going to be the best combo here, and then Flamethrower is like in the middle there. Fire Blast is the worst, but it's still a very good move for Flareon because it does so much damage. So yeah, and again it says basically all of that here. Flamethrower is superior to Fire Blast because on defense it's not like spamming it, you know. So yeah, and of course all these fire moves get boosted by Clear Weather. Now, let's talk about its weaknesses. It's just a typical fire type. So, you know, if you're talking about like Typhlosion, or if you're talking about Torkoal, I guess, for lack of a better example, or I'm just trying to think of pure fire types. Magmar. This is your typical weaknesses for those fire types. So, you got it being weak to rock, ground, and water, and then it's resisted to all this, but you're not going to bring any of this to the raid. I mean, you could bring a Fire Blast Groudon. No, you don't bring a Fire Blast Groudon, please. Is it Fire Blast, or I don't remember what the fire move is for Groudon, if it even gets a fire move, but it's irrelevant because it's a really shitty move. So here we're talking about golems here for your rock types. Definitely bring those golems if you have them. Here we're talking about Groudon mostly. Pretty much just Groudon. Stay away from ground type golems and Rhydons or any other ground types. We're literally just talking about Groudon here. Groudon's going to be your best bet here. And then water, you got Kyogre and Gyarados. Again, stay away from other water types because they won't do as much damage. So, yeah. So, if we're looking for a perfect Flareon, 1659 in non-boosted weather is perfect for Flareon at level 20. At level 25, if it's clear weather, we're talking 2074 is perfect for a Flareon. Alright, so let's get into the counters here. Let's talk about the counters. I think I nailed most of them, but I didn't even think about Legacy Omastar, but you could bring Legacy Omastar too. So, yeah. But Supreme counters, we got Kyogre, Tyranitar. I guess you could bring... Okay, I missed a few. You could bring Tyranitar as well. I mean, I didn't say don't bring any rock types. You could bring Smackdown, Stone Edge, Tyranitar too. But you got those two as the Supreme counters. And the good counters, you got Gyarados, you got Omastar, you got Dragon Tail, Hydro Pump, Salamence. Oh god, I have to try this now. I actually want to try this. Okay. So you got Dragon Tail, Hydro Pump, Salamence, Mudshot, Earthquake, Dragon Tail, Outrage, and then for Golem, Rock Throw, Stone Edge. Just stay with this moveset, honestly. Earthquake is just so slow. You're better off just going with Stone Edge there. So, unless you're doing it in clear weather, I guess you could go for Rock Throw, Earthquake in that sense. But, I mean, you're better off just sticking with this moveset traditionally. So, here's your little graph. You can see all of the water types here. Sharpedo is extremely frail. In fact, it'll probably die to Overheat even if you dodge. So, yeah, that's not a Pokemon you want to use. Then you got like Feraligatr, Swampert. They're not going to really help unless you're doing it in rainy weather. They're not really going to help. And then you got like Dragonite and Vaporeon. Again, probably won't help unless you're in rainy weather. So, yeah. So, those are basically all the counters there. Now let's look at the weather. Hopefully I can do this fast this time, because I did not do this very quickly in the Alone Raichu video. So let me see. Let me see. I think it's this. Please be that. Okay, good. Alright, so it's just a typical fire type. So the best weather to take on Flareon in would be rainy weather and partly cloudy weather. Those would probably be the best weathers to fight Flareon in. Now, the weathers that don't really matter here are cloudy, windy, snow, and fog. Basically all those. And then you probably don't want to fight Flareon in clear weather if you don't think you could take it down. Now, if you are using Groudon, if you're using like a maxed out Groudon, sure, go for it. But if you do not have a Groudon, if you're trying to do it with, like, let's say Kyogres, I think it's viable that maybe some people don't have a Groudon, but maybe they have Kyogres, because we did have a Kyogre event not that long ago, whereas Groudon ended in like January, I think. January of 2018, so that was so long ago. Wow, it doesn't feel that long ago, but that's when we last had Groudon. So I could buy that people would probably have better Kyogres than Groudons, but just stay away from this unless you have Groudon. So anyways, that about does it for the guide. So I will see you guys in the battles. Alright, so first up is going to be Fire Blast, Flareon. And you guys will notice that, the time difference between all of these. So, you guys will literally see how difficult Flareon is. Now, these are all going to be very close, but these solos are going to be very, very straightforward. As I said before, you can use ground types, you can use water types, and you can use rock types. So, you know, your counters would be like Groudon, and Kyogre, and Golem. All of those are probably the best to use. And Smackdown Tyranitar. I always forget about Smackdown Tyranitar, but you can use Smackdown Tyranitar too. I think in this battle I actually started out. It might have been the Overheat one, but I might not have fully healed my Groudons. Oops. But anyways, you guys can see that I'm using like 2 maxed out Groudons. This is in clear weather, by the way. I also need to mention that it's in clear weather, so my Groudons are boosted. They can do a lot of damage to this Flareon, but it is doing a bit of damage, and I do have to dodge because it's doing so much damage to me. And you know, it's just critical to get that extra Earthquake off, so that's why I need to dodge. And took a Fire Blast there, which is fine because the Groudon was gonna faint anyways. Now you guys can see Kyogre doing work. If you use Kyogre in like rainy weather, this probably be a way easier solo, but it doesn't rain too often in California, so but I mean, generally speaking, you're gonna have to use legendaries against Flareon. Now you could go in with, you know, maxed out Golems, or you could go in with like maxed out Tyranitars and solo it that way, preferably in partly cloudy weather, but using legendaries is probably easier. I guess if you have like 6 Smackdown Tyranitars, that works too, but Kyogre and Groudon are kind of the way to go here. So going in with the next Kyogre, I mean, I have like 2 maxed out Kyogres, and I'm trying to work on that other Groudon, just really slowly working on that Groudon. I'm hoping we get, you know, Groudon as a raid boss in the future, because I do need to power up that other one just a little bit, and I'd rather not use rare candies on it. So I missed a dodge there because I'm not very good at dodging with Kyogre, I'll admit that. But it's absolutely crucial that you get your dodges, especially if you don't know if you can solo Flareon. It's absolutely crucial that you dodge those Fire Blasts or those Overheats or those Flamethrowers, because it will wreck you. It does so much damage, especially if you're doing this in clear weather. So, but we took down that Flareon. And I think we did it at, I think it was 19 seconds. I think that's what it was. So, but you guys will see that this was a clear boosted Flareon. So, yeah. Alright, so next up we have Flamethrower Flareon. And Flamethrower Flareon is definitely more spammy, so keep that in mind. Obviously those flamethrowers won't do as much as Fire Blast, but they do stack up, so that's why Flamethrower is better than Fire Blast on defense. You guys can see I'm using the Golem here because this was in partly cloudy weather, so I'm taking advantage of the weather. You definitely want to do that, especially if you're soloing stuff like Flareon and Donphan. You want to take advantage of whatever weather it is. Preferably if it's super effective against either of those two, you definitely want to take advantage. So I'm dodging a little bit with Golem because I want to make sure I'm getting these Stone Edges off. And I was kind of predicting the Flamethrowers, but usually when you do that, like, you'll dodge the one Flamethrower, but the very next Flamethrower you'll get hit. So I wouldn't recommend doing that too much. But as you can see, I'm just trying to get these Stone Edges off because they're doing a lot of damage to this Flareon, and I'm just letting it sort of take me out with a Flamethrower. But I think I got about like 4 or 5 Stone Edges in, so it was definitely worth those dodges. So we got another Golem here, and honestly, I probably could have done just like an all Golem solo because it was in partly cloudy weather. But I'm dodging there because I want to make sure that when it hits me with the Flamethrower, that I take damage from it, or not that I take damage from it, that my charge meter goes up. Because if you have obviously if you have a full charge meter and then it hits you with the Flamethrower and you don't get Stone Edge off in time, you don't really gain much of a charge meter when it uses it. So I hope I explained that correctly. I don't know if I did, but next up we got Kyogre, and you guys can see just how little Flamethrower is doing to Kyogre. Kyogre is probably the superior choice here against Flareon because, you know, those Flamethrowers do so little. I guess if I did the Fire Blast in partly cloudy weather, I could say the same thing for that. But you guys can see just how little Flamethrower is doing. But I mean, I guess it is taking down Kyogre pretty quickly, so. But Kyogre is kind of in here doing its job. And then I got another Kyogre in here. If you guys don't have the Kyogres, Gyarados works fine if you're looking for a water type. Gyarados is fine, but I mean, you have to evolve all those Gyaradoses and max them out. But you know, I guess if you live in a Magikarp biome, that's not a problem. But so keep going for the waterfalls, and Flamethrower was at like, it was right at that mark when I took it down with Flamethrower. So we're gonna take this out with about 15-14 seconds. So yeah, it did make a difference. And that other Flareon was weather boosted, so I probably could have taken out even quicker if the Fire Blast wasn't boosted by clear weather. But so we took out that Flareon. Now Overheat is going to be sort of a bitch to take down, so I'll see you guys when we get to that part. Alright, so last but not least, this is going to be Overheat Flareon. This is Fire Spin Overheat Flareon, I do believe. So this is the hardest moveset to fight. And Overheat hurts a lot. You guys will see that I actually failed to dodge from one of the overheats, and you guys will see just how much the overheat did. This wasn't in clear weather, by the way. Actually, it was weird because I guess I was in a weather cell that just didn't have weather at the time for whatever reason. But like the weather cells are so close together, like where I was raiding, that I could literally just like drive like, you know, a couple feet into the other weather cell and see that it was either like clear or partly cloudy. So I don't know what was going on there, but you guys could see just like how much a dodged overheat does. It definitely hurts. So you want to dodge overheats if possible. If you're not in the red, preferably, you want to be able to dodge the overheats because they freaking hurt. And if this was in clear weather, I'm pretty sure, like, if it counted, if I missed a dodge like the game thought I did, I probably would have lost that Groudon a lot earlier. So make sure you're dodging. As you guys will see right now, I think, yeah, right there. It just, if that was clear weather, that Groudon would have got taken out. So, but I mean, as far as Pokemon you use against Overheat, it's pretty straightforward. You basically use the same stuff because it is a fire type moveset. And yeah, so at least for Kyogre, it can take on the overheats a little better. So that's good. Kyogre might be better in this matchup versus Groudon just simply because it resists fire. So, but I didn't dodge that overheat there. I do get the other Hydro Pump off, thankfully, before it took me out. So that was good. I guess I didn't need to dodge, but you guys can see just like how much that charge meter goes up when you get hit with an overheat too. It definitely hurts. So, but we're just waterfalling and hydro pumping. This is gonna be a stupid close one because I think I got in the red with like 49 seconds. Generally speaking, you want to get the raid boss in the red by 50 seconds. So this is gonna be a stupid close solo. I'm actually behind like what I should be at. So I'm definitely trying to pick up the pace. Here you guys can see I am using Stone Edge, or not Stone Edge. Well, yeah, I am using Stone Edge, but I'm using Smackdown Stone Edge. Tyranitar. I guess it does fine, just because I mean it is Smackdown Tyranitar. It's just not powered up, but I got that with about 10 seconds, so that's good. So yeah, that's basically does it. You want to dodge Flareon's moves for the most part because they do so much damage. Also keep in mind that Flareon is a pretty bulky Pokemon. I mean, in the sense that it's a very bulky raid boss, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. In the next raid boss guide, we will probably be doing Donphan, more than likely. I still need another video before I can do that solo guide. So, I will see you guys then. Keep living the dream. Goodbye.